Hey, Greysteel Nation. Sully here with the Barbell Prescription. And we get a lot of requests for a video on wraps. And we get questions like that in our email and in the POG, which is the Patrons of Greysteel, our private Facebook group. So people want to know about wraps. And like, there's no shortage of resources out there on how to wrap your knees and your elbows and your wrists and so on. But people still ask us, and so I'm going to show you my own rather idiosyncratic approach to wrapping. It's not like everybody else's, and I want to emphasize that this is the approach that I developed working here at Greysteel with older athletes and with myself because I use wraps. It's not necessarily the approach that you're going to use if you're a competitor, like you're squatting 500 pounds in a powerlifting competition. This is not for you, right? This is for people with aches and pains who need a little bit of an additional support for general lifting for health and fitness. Why do we use them in the first place? For a couple of reasons, basically boiling down to, it feels better and it feels like you've got some extra support. The reason it feels like you've got some extra support is because you do have some extra support. The way I think about the wrap is it's kind of an ectopic ligament, right? It's an ectopic ligament or tendon. It's a connecting structure that you're adding to the underlying connecting structure, right? So I have a bunch of ligaments, medial and lateral collateral ligaments and anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments and so on and so forth. In my knee, I'm going to give them a little bit of extra help with the wrap. That's how I think about the wrap. And in that context, wraps can be really, really helpful. And there's no shortage of scientific data on the use of wraps in older athletes, and some of it suggests that it's quite helpful and some of it's kind of like neutral. And there are a few contrary studies as well. Here at Greysteel, I teach people how to wrap when it looks like they're going to start needing it. So let's talk about which wrap you're going to choose. I use Rogue wraps. In fact, when it comes right down to it and I need a piece of equipment or gear, I almost always go with Rogue. Rogue is the shit, and they don't pay me anything to say this. I don't have any sort of relationship with Rogue. They just make really good stuff, and they have really, really excellent customer service, and the same applies to their wraps here. This is your basic standard knee wrap that you would get from Rogue, the black and red, and this is what it comes like, all coiled up in a little pack. Of course, there are other brands of wraps. Some are stiffer, and some people like a stiffer wrap. Some are looser. Some people like a looser wrap. This is a really, really good sort of compromise between ultra-stiff competition-style wraps and, pathetic little ace bandages, which some people use. So it comes like this. Now, I want to start by showing you how I train my wrap. That's right, I train this wrap. I want you to think about this wrap. It's got a Velcro closure, and over time, this closure is going to fatigue. And you can imagine this, right? This hard part of the Velcro here, this little tab, is going to start to get all dog-eared, right? And it's going to go like this, and it's going to shorten the life of the Velcro and the wrap, right? These wraps don't last forever. I have to buy a new one about every 18 months, right? But I can make it last a little longer if I train the wrap. And the way I train the wrap is based on this following rationale. When I'm done with my wrap, right, it's going to come over like so, right? It's going to wrap around like that. No matter what kind of structure I'm wrapping, it's going to wrap around like this. It's going to wrap around with that kind of curvature. So that's the curvature I'm actually going to train into the wrap. So when I get my brand new Rogue wrap, I just throw it out. And then what I do is I take this and I curl it over like that with the Rogue on the outside, and I curl it the way it's going to curl when it finishes the wrap. And it will be the last thing to come around. So if I do it this way, it's going to be inside the wrap and the last thing to come around, if that makes sense. And I don't want you to worry. We're going to show you all of this again from another perspective. So just bear with me right now. So I'm going to take the wrap and I'm going to curl it this way until I get past the soft Velcro here. I'm going to keep curling until I'm past the soft Velcro, and then I'm going to reverse direction and start wrapping it back the other way, in this case towards myself. And the way I wrap is I'm just going to make a cage out of my non-dominant hand, and I'm going to use my dominant hand to just sort of wrap it up. And it just goes faster that way. Good. So we're going to show you that again, so don't worry. And now I've got my wrap, and it's ready to wrap my knee. So let's just say I got your average knee, right? Your average lifting knee. I'm going to straighten out the limb that I'm wrapping, right? I'm not going to wrap like this. I'm going to wrap with my knee straight. It's a very common error, okay? And in general, unless there's some specific reason not to do so because you've got some specific type of owie or issue with your knee, when you wrap your knee, you're going to go from lateral to medial with your wrap, just because of the biomechanics of the patella and the quads and so on. Don't want to get into it right now, but that's how it's going to work for like 95% of people. That's how it works for me, right? So I want to wrap from outside to inside. And the other thing that I want to do, this is like lots of time spent on orthopedic rotations talking to you here, right? I want the wrap to roll in contact with my leg like that, right? It's much more awkward for the wrap to roll like this. And as it happens, the way we've prepared this wrap, it won't work that way anyway, right? So the wrap will roll directly on your leg or whatever structure like a wheel, okay? So I want to wrap from outside to inside. So I'm going to start by stretching out the wrap like so, underneath my knee. I've got this tongue here. It's the one part of the wrap that's going to wrap from inside to outside to trap the roll, right? Like so. I'm going to wrap that over my patella. Usually not any reason to go any lower than that, right? And then I'm going to wrap this way, and I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of good overlap, right? And I'm going to do my first layer loose, right? The objective is to support, not strangulate the structure, right? You can actually do a pretty good job of cutting off your circulation with this wrap. Then it's no longer a wrap, it's a tourniquet. And you don't want a tourniquet, right? So you're going to wrap loose for the first time around, and then when you've gone up high enough, you can add your second layer a little more tightly, like so. And now you can see this part of the wrap is ready to come around and grab that soft Velcro there, right? And you're going to play around with, and it will stretch over time. You're going to play around with exactly where you want to put the wrap. Now, in my case, it's a little bit different. Here's how you take it off. Just grab, 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 okay? So here's another one. Looks like I prepped this one already. In my case, I have a little bit of an issue with chondromalacia patella, right? Or patellofemoral pain syndrome, as the case is. In other words, I got frickin' arthritis behind my kneecap, right? Which blows, but I'm forced to live with it. And as it happens, like any other arthritic structure, if I compress that cartilage against the underlying other part of the joint, I'm going to have more pain. So I want to support my knee. I want to support this quad tendon right here, which has a calcific tendonitis, right? And I want to support the lateral and medial aspects of my knee, but I don't want to compress my patella. So I just do a sort of an open wrap, like so. And this is my quadriceps tendon right here, which has tendonitis, right? Has calcific tendonitis. So I'm going to sort of cross over the myotendinous junction right here. Now, I'm still applying this first layer loosely, but this is the part that really hurts for me, right? So I'm going to apply a little bit of extra tension right there. I'm going to sort of like secure back here and apply a little bit of extra tension right there. Now, the question is, am I stroking myself when I do this, right? Because it's an elastic structure. So you would think that the tension would be evenly distributed throughout the wrap. However, there is some research out there that suggests that you can apply a little bit of extra tension in a more or less specific location when you wrap. Now, most of that was done with research involving compression bandages, but I think it carries over to wraps as well. And so when I wrap, I tend to increase the compression right there. And this is where I need the most support with this knee. The other knee I wrap a little bit differently. And as I go through, I make it tighter and tighter each time. And you can see I'm leaving this area open here. This is where I need the support, is above the kneecap, right? And I might do another one down here, and there it is. It's a pretty comfortable wrap there, like that, okay? So, and once again, comes off real quick, like that, okay? Now when it comes to wrist wraps, Rogue sells an excellent wrist wrap, but I have this wrap here. It was a gift from a friend. Sorry you can't get it anymore, but it's going to do to illustrate the way I think about wrist wraps. Most of you are doing wrist wraps wrong, right? So this is how most people apply wrist wraps. This is a really, you can buy other brands that are sort of like this. This is how most people do wrist wraps, right? They just wrap it around their wrist, right? And then, you know, you're like something out of Zoolander or something, right? You basically got a secondary sex characteristic here. It's like, you know, you're basically wearing an ornament. It's not doing anything for you, right? For the wrist wrap to be effective, it basically needs to splint the joint. So I think about a wrist wrap like I'm treating a wrist injury. I'm just treating it before it happens, right? I'm trying to immobilize my wrist. We always tell our clients, when you come into the gym, you can leave your neck and your wrists in the car, right? We don't load neck and wrist movements here. There are no wrists in barbell training, right? So I want to splint my wrist. I want to make my wrist go away. So I'm going to start way up high on the hand like this, and I'm going to cross the wrist joint like so. And then this second part of the wrap allows me to apply a lot of extra tension, not locally, but just a lot of tension to the wrist, so that I'm resisting my ability to extend the wrist, which is the fundamental error in barbell training when it comes to the wrist. Most people don't flex the wrist under the bar. That's just weird and really uncomfortable, so most people don't do it. The error is usually extension. So I need the wrist to be on both sides of the joint, both distal and proximal to the joint, to basically immobilize the joint. It doesn't need to be any tighter than that to be effective, right? So that's my philosophy on wrist wraps. So now I'm going to show you from your perspective again how to roll up your wrist wrap and how to, or your knee wrap rather, and apply it to your knee. So stand by. All right, so we're going to go through this again, and I'm joined here by my friend and client and soon-to-be colleague, Harpreet. And Harpreet is one of our athletes here at Greysteel. She's very, very strong, and she's studying to become a barbell coach. And she's part of our Greysteel family, and we're going to show her how to do everything that I just showed you. We're not going to go through the wrist wraps again, but we're going to do everything else. So we're going to start. We have our wrap, and we want to train it so that it's going to curve over this way, because eventually it's going to get dog-eared. We want it to get dog-eared the way we want it to get dog-eared, right? So we're gonna curl it over like this, so that the rogue is curling away from us, and we're going to roll it until it passes the soft Velcro there, like that. Okay, so we're past the soft Velcro, and now we're going to curl it in the other direction. So there should be sort of this like little double loop here, right? And I don't know if you guys can see that, but we'll do our best to zoom in on that. And now we're going to just roll it all the way up. We're going to make a cage out of the non-dominant hand and use our dominant hand to just roll it up. Okay. And so now we've got our little wheel of knee wrap. Now, before we go on, I have to tell you the most important thing. According to orthopedic tradition, like from this comes to you direct from the cast room at Detroit Receiving Hospital Emergency Department, right? If you drop the roll like this, right, and a guy goes running across, then you owe everyone in the room a beer. That's the rule. This is a true statement, right? It's right up there with the second law of thermodynamics. So get it straight. Now, you're going to straighten out the limb that you want to wrap, okay? Now, this is actually good because you're going to do your left leg and I'm going to do my right leg, right? So things are going to be actually a little bit opposite because the direction of wrapping is always outside to inside. Outside to inside. So we're going to stretch out the wrap, stretch out the roll, and we're going to, now remember, you want it to roll directly, right? Just like that, like a wheel, right? So you are incorrect. Right, you need to go from, because you want to roll from outside to inside. That's going to have you rolling from inside to outside. See, that's a common error, okay? Now, and you don't want to go too low. People like to start way down here. Just start right on the patellar tendon, right here. Right here? You don't need to wrap your knee any lower than that unless there's something special and weird going on. Good. Okay. So over, and then you're just going to maintain contact, and your first layer is going to be relatively light, right? You're going to add most of the tension in the second layer. Now you can pretend that you have, like, let's say, like me, you have an owie right here, right? So you're going to anchor here, no, right, look, put a finger right here.
Okay.
You want to make this tight here, so you're going to anchor this part and tighten down, okay, and then keep going. And how much that helps, we don't know, but I kind of feel like I can localize some of the tightness there, okay? Good. And then crossing over, you're going to keep going. You go down now the other way, right? And you're going to decide where you want to finish it and how tight you want to finish it. Mine always seems to end up right there. Yours is going to end up right there, which is fine. As long as you feel comfortable and you're getting the support that you need, all right?
That's good.
And then to take it off, you just move a bunch, you just bunch it up, and then you transfer the bunch from hand to hand, and then it's not rolling all over the place like sticky spaghetti, right? So it comes off real fast like that. And then you roll it out, and you roll it up again.
Okay.
And that's all we got.
Okay. So
You got anything else?
no, this is good. I liked it. I'm going to order mine.
Thanks for watching.